Hello, my name is Rob Davis,
And I'm John Tavener.
and for our research project, we wanted to take a look at the use of mobile devices in the workplace and see how that related to job satisfaction. We've seen, working in technology, that there really is a pervasiveness of the use of mobile devices. In fact, we're seeing with many students these days, they have at least 3 to 5 internet devices, and they're using them on a regular basis, and that's only growing over time. So I guess the first question, what is a mobile device? So mobile devices, we've got our smartphones, all of us have them. John has a tablet here, iPads, things like this. These are the sorts of mobile devices that we're talking about and how they impact the workplace. So, we've seen rapid change over time with mobile devices. I've been working at APU for a few years now, and when I first started working at APU, I carried around a pager. I don't know if you know what that is, John.
I do remember them from when I was a young lad.
Well, that's good, yes, and also a radio. So now we go from that to these mobile devices that we all, basically a computer that we're carrying around in our pocket.
Right.
Because John and I both work at APU in IT, we're seeing that mobile devices are being used on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So our problem statement. We wanted to explore the effect of the use of mobile devices in the workplace on job satisfaction. We identified 3 constructs. We took a look at intrinsic motivation. That's the motivation we have inside of ourselves to make things better. The second one is extrinsic motivation. That's the external motivation that we receive, whether from our job or our boss or other things. And the third is flexibility. So John's going to now take a step to show us what we did for our methodology. John?
Great. Thanks, Rob. All right, so for our methodology, our sampling design, all of the population elements were chosen at random. We utilized simple random sampling. We used the university's organizational listing as our reference list. Our population sampling, it was a mix of full-time faculty and staff here at the university. So that was the makeup of our respondents. We had a really good response to our... We sent out to 75 people, and we received 61 responses back. For our research design, we used an internet survey. That allowed us to cut down on both time and cost. We used a Google form, and that put all of our data into Google Sheets. And so we were able to collect that quickly and easily and get all of that into SPSS. We had 20 questions. 15 related to the 3 constructs that Rob previously discussed, and then our 5 were our demographics. We did use a multiple choice fill in the blank with a 6-stage Likert scale ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree, which is standard.
Right.
We did identify several limitations in our paper, and so we're going to focus on just a few that we felt were worth mentioning. So the first limitation had to do with the survey itself. The survey questions we found made it difficult to determine a concrete connection between the use of personal technology and job satisfaction. It would have helped to have one of the construct focus on job satisfaction. That would have helped us draw a clear connection to the main point of the research. Second limitation was that the scope of the survey was very narrow. It was just here at the university. So because of that, mobile devices and job satisfaction, the findings can be stated just of APU employees, but is not inclusive of non-APU employees. And our final limitation had to do with the survey participants only made up 4.4% of the university, and they were only full-time employed faculty and staff. So 61 participants of the full-time, which was 1,380. So, not a huge sampling there. So it is possible to see the trends. They cannot be considered conclusive due to the limited size of the survey population. Now to Rob with our key findings. Rob?
Thanks, John. So our demographics. John mentioned the 61 people that responded. We actually had a good mix between male and female. 52.5% were male, 47.5% were female. Their age ranges, we had a big range actually from 25 to 69, and both faculty and staff and different folks. The level of education was interesting because it ranged all the way from high school graduates through postgraduate studies. And it's interesting, the majority of our population had completed either graduate or postgraduate work. I suppose that makes sense, being that our population was university, right, faculty and staff.
Higher ed.
So the interesting thing, I think the most interesting thing we saw and really confirmed our beliefs coming into this, was that 91.8% of our population uses mobile devices in the workplace.
That's high.
Yeah, and so, I think that really confirms where we're going with this and how it's an important topic to look at. Our intrinsic motivation and our flexibility constructs, they received really high response rates, while the extrinsic motivation construct was not quite as positive. We believe this shows that people desire flexibility in the workplace and the responsibility they put on themselves for motivation and job satisfaction.
Exactly.
So the highest mean response, the question that had the highest kind of average response, was an intrinsic motivation question about wanting work to provide opportunities to increase knowledge and skills. That was 5.39. It's pretty high. The lowest was an extrinsic, makes sense, because that was our lowest grouping, was a question about being motivated by money that can be earned in the job. So some of our results that we found, the Cronbach Alpha test found that our intrinsic construct wasn't reliable, but the good thing is extrinsic and flexibility were found to be reliable. The t-test on gender showed that male participants rated flexibility higher than female, which is kind of an interesting thing coming in.
Yeah.
And using a correlation and regression tests, we found the more participants rated the intrinsic construct high on one side, the more participants rated the flexibility construct high. So that was a really good finding there. Okay, John's going to discuss the conclusion for our research project. John?
Yeah, so thanks, Rob. Bringing all this kind of together, in response to our survey, the analysis found that the majority of the respondents use their mobile devices at work. Not too much of a surprise there, but though this test made up 4.4% of the employees at APU, you could extrapolate that the trend is common.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
That here at the university, that is mostly the case. Our demographic range was vast, with education levels significantly high in the graduate and postgraduate levels. Research was based off of the three constructs that you talked about: intrinsic, extrinsic motivation, and flexibility. As we mentioned, the use of mobile devices at work was prevalent at 91.8%.
Yeah, that's really high.
And the flexibility construct received high scores as well, which would seem to relate to the high number of respondents that use mobile devices. There was a correlation between high intrinsic, which is the internal motivation again, and flexibility that was observed and could lead to a greater use of mobile devices, given their ability to work, to make work possible on the go. So people value their flexibility. Mobile devices may play a role in job satisfaction. This is kind of what we gleaned overall. If the values of the employee align with the benefits of the mobile device. But it does not seem to be completely dependent. So now to Rob with the recommendations. Rob?
Thanks, John. So because our survey respondents were AP faculty and staff, our recommendations will focus on what APU can do to respond to this research. First, we think it's important that APU further values employees by promoting the use of mobile devices. Next, we want to foster the culture of learning, providing new technologies to increase applications for mobile devices. And finally, we think APU should create a technology team to identify new apps and tools to utilize these mobile devices. So this research project has been interesting, provided some additional insights into the use of mobile devices for APU faculty and staff.
We hope you've enjoyed our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.